Hello, everyone, and welcome to our non-medical Monday informational show. So on Mondays, we do Mondays at noon or right around noon. We're a little late today. We do a non-medical Monday type informational posting or video, let's say. So today we're going to talk about how we've been hornswoggled, how you've been misled, the things that basically happen to cause us to not understand how we work, to not understand things about our health, the information that we have, let's say, that leaves us vulnerable to disease, vulnerable to attacks by pathogens. And attacks by pathogens are what lead to illness, what lead to sickness, what lead to disease. So there's certain categories, let's say, of things that can go wrong with you that are acute and traumatic care. And those things are things that the medical system does really well. I mean, if I get shot or run over in a car wreck or whatever, the medical system does that really, really well. But there's also these general health categories of things. So I might have tummy aches. I might have headaches. I might be tired all the time. I might be depressed. I might have all kinds of general health things, let's say, that might happen to me. Those things, again, are really not well addressed right now in the medical system. I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to get myself in trouble, but they're not well addressed, let's say, in the medical system right now, because the medical system has an institutional truth, but not the truth. And the medical system's institutional truth, basically what people are taught in medical school and what they are taught about how they work. So how a physician is taught or a nurse is taught or a pharmacist is taught about function is that function really is genetics. And you might have flawed genetics. And if so, you're just a flawed human. And, oh, I'm so sorry, you're just broken. You know, that's why you have this disease state, or that's why you have these things wrong with you. Well, we don't see it that way. And again, happy to kind of, ferret this out in any way that you would want me to. But the way we see it is that God is a perfect engineer. God made you perfect, or at least you have the ability starting off to be perfect. And what do I mean by that? Every cell that you make is a perfect cell. It is perfect, perfect, perfect. There's a lot of things that can happen to a cell after you make it. And so those are the things that we really are looking for, the causal things of why we decline rather than go up, because we're always striving toward perfect. We should technically live forever, or every cell in us should regenerate. You're kind of a perpetual motion machine if we can clear out the things that do impinge on our health, that do hurt us. So let's talk through some of these, let's say, mistruths or lack of truth or lack of proper information that you likely have been fed all your life. Let's talk about some of these just real quick in a non-medical Monday way. So the first one is eating frequency. Okay, so if you're like me, if you grew up in the, let's say, the Gen X-y kind of thing, I'm kind of right on the edge of that, right on the edge of a baby boomer, believe it or not. But if you grew up in my time frame, again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the most neglected meal was breakfast. Breakfast, was just beat into our heads how important it was to eat breakfast. How could you go to school without eating breakfast? You'll never learn like anyone else. You're going to be chronically stupid if you don't eat breakfast. So all of us were taught, let's say, conditioned to eat breakfast. Well, we now know, so what's the current science say? That's bad for you. So we need to eat in a window. Basically, the time when we start eating to the time when we stop eating. We need to throw out the whole idea of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't need to eat 3 different meals a day. You don't even need to eat 2 different meals a day. You can be fine just eating 1 meal a day. So those whole old notions of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's important to, let's say, start eating when you first wake up and quit eating when you first go to bed. Those are wrong. Those hurt you, okay? If you eat breakfast, let's say you start eating at 7:30 in the morning and you quit eating by 9 o'clock at night, you're going to gain weight. You're going to store fat. You are suppressing a process called autophagy, which is one of your cancer defenses. It's also the way you clean up stuff that'll cause you to get Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. You're greatly increasing your likelihood of getting insulin resistance and becoming a type 2 diabetic. So it's just, it's not good for us to eat as frequently as we do. Okay. So the best thing is looking like research says, eat one time a day. And this doesn't have anything to do with the amount of food or the, denying you anything, keeping you away from any types of foods. This is just facts about eating frequency. We'll talk about types of foods in a second, but this is just eating frequency. So if you're a breakfast, lunch, and dinner person, you're hurting yourself. If you're that person that eats one meal a day, you're helping yourself. If you can do something in between, then that really, really helps you. And it really helps your ability, let's say, to fight disease. And again, the lie that we're told, sorry, you're just an open target for all these diseases and infections and all that. No, you can control that. You can control that with the strength of your immune system. And one of the biggest tips that I could ever give you on how to increase the strength of your immune system is intermittent fast, is narrow that window. Instead of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, let's start eating at noon and quit eating by 8, or, just eat one meal, start eating at 4 and quit eating by 7 or 8. That's what my wife and I do. That's extremely advantageous. Again, it's you'll be able to control your weight. You'll be able to control your health a lot better than you would if you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, so that is mistruth number 1. Eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, and think about how that's augmented. Moms, how could you ever send your kids to school without breakfast? So you're even guilted into this behavior, right? That's wrong behavior. Don't, moms, send your kids to school without breakfast. When you feed them breakfast, they go into a degraded state for 5 hours. So if you're having kiddos that are having trouble in those first, 1, 2, 3 hours of school, again, it may be because you're feeding them breakfast. We get more energy. We have more mental capacity. We are better, faster, stronger when we don't eat than when we eat. When we eat, and for 5 hours after we eat, we go into a degraded state that is 50 times less. So I don't want to eat before athletic performance. That's a bad thing to do. I don't want to eat before I'm going to go do math quizzes. That's a bad thing to do. I don't want to eat before I go to school. That's a bad thing to do. I'm going to be less. And I know that's really counterintuitive, but, download an AI tool like Chat. Start asking it questions. You'll find that I'm right. All right. So carbohydrates. This is another lie. So this is another lie you've been told. Oh, eat your vegetables. It's important to eat your fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables. Those are so important to our fuel source and to who you are and how you function and vitamins and all that. Super important. No, they're not. Carbohydrates have zero importance to you. You don't need them at all. There is nothing that you get from a carbohydrate that you can't get from other sources. Nothing. What do you need? Fat and protein. You do not need carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are a quick source of glucose. By the way, if you eat all the time, so let's just back this up, because everything is about trying to get you to run on glucose. If I can get you to run on glucose, you're 50 times less powerful, and you're going to be 50 times more susceptible to infection. So eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner forces you into glucose mode. Eating carbohydrates is a great source of glucose, but it's not what you need. You don't need glucose. You need fat. You're a fat machine. You're built to run on dietary fats. You need protein in order for your cells to do work, because cells just really remodel and reshape that protein for all different kinds of things that happen inside of you. And you need vitamins. That's kind of it, really. Okay. Metals, trace minerals, maybe some fiber, maybe. depending on everything else. So fiber and a fermenter are good substrates for bacteria, and bacteria are only needed if we're not nailing our diet. So all that stuff about eat your vegetables is wrong. All that stuff about eat your fruits is wrong. These things are hurting us, not helping us. Does that mean that you can never eat carbohydrates again? No. Again, broccoli has some value. You know, cauliflower has some value. Cauliflower as a substrate is, you know, a little bit better, let's say, than a grain. Okay, so it's got some value, but it's not a fat and it's not a protein. And fats and proteins are essential. You must have them. You do not need carbohydrates. And if you're eating them, they're kind of a excessive extra. So it's like kind of eating that donut every once in a while. And they're just sugar, right? So they feed pathogens. They raise your insulin. They create glycated end products, so H1C. They don't have much fuel. So the ultimate fuel really is an electron. And there's way more electrons in fat than there are carbohydrates. And really everything that you get from a carbohydrate, you can get from ketones. So you don't need them. So that's mistruth, hornswoggling number 2. All right. Hornswoggling number 3 has been really the demonization of ancestral foods. So we're really steered clear of red meat, of saturated fat, of salt, and cholesterol. Cholesterol is, if not one of the most important things in your entire body. Cholesterol, 40% of your brain is made of cholesterol. Anytime you need to heal something, you need cholesterol. In infection, cholesterol is a very important part of the whole healing, rebuilding process. So cholesterol is a really important fat breakdown that we need, and that's been demonized. We've all heard about, you know, the bad things from salt. If you were my age, you know, you certainly grew up in this whole salt is bad for your heart and will cause heart attack kind of messaging, which is completely not true. I mean, you can always overdo these guys, any of these guys, right? But these guys are important. You have to have salt. You have to have iodine. That's one of the, you know, things that we're missing. Red meat is a great source of protein. It's got all essential proteins in it. If that red meat was ethically fed, then it's also going to have all of the right fats in it. Saturated fat, that's been demonized a lot. And again, saturated fat that's your fuel source. So it's like your gasoline. So you don't want to really deny yourself gas. You won't get very far. You can always run on sugar, on carbohydrates. And that appears to be, you know, what they want us to do, whoever these people are that are hornswoggling us. And the underlying motive is, again, if you're running on sugar, you're weaker. You're going to be less in your immune system, and you're going to be easier to infect. So you're going to be a ample product for the medical system if, you know, I can kind of get you to behave in the way that it looks like we're herded, let's say, to behave in. All right. So the next hornswoggling, omega-3 and omega-6 fat balance. All right. So some of us have heard that it's important to balance omega-3 and omega-6 fats. Again, we're told that this is a supplementation thing. Most of us realize the benefits of supplementing with omega-3, right? So most of us have gotten some information about supplementing with omega-3 fats and how that might be helpful. So we kind of know that there's something here. But I'll tell you right now, the omega-3 and omega-6 fat dysregulation underpins so many diseases. I can pull any kind of cell out of you, any kind of cell, and I can tell you exactly what your omega-3 and omega-6 fat intake is just by the ratio of omega-3 and omega-6 fats in the cell wall. And every single cell wall is made from omega-3 and omega-6 fats and other fats, but omega-3 and omega-6 are always part of the cell wall. Why? Because the cell needs them as resources. And the best way to store something that you need as a resource is right there in your cell wall. So phospholipids will contain omega-3 and omega-6 fats, as will triglycerides. It used to be that our balance of omega-6 to omega-3 was about 1-to-1 to 4 to 1. Okay. So when we were eating, let's say meat that was, naturally fed, meat that was grazing, meat that was free range, then we were getting basically we were getting the benefits of the fats that meat created by eating the right things. Okay. It's a little bit of a, from here to here, and there's a middleman in the meat source, but the meat's only going to be as good, let's say, as what it's fed. So we used to eat basically grass-fed, grass-finished, let's say, everything. And now we're eating a lot of corn-fed, corn-finished everything. And corn and soy are high sources of omega-6. So what was 1 to 1 to 4 to 1 is now becoming 40 to 1 because of our meat sources. And this is because, again, our feed animals are fed corn and soy instead of grass. And it's also because in our society, we're using so many vegetable oils. So like soybean oil, canola oil, and corn oil are all in processed foods. Almost every single processed food will have one of those oils in it. And those are super heavy in omega-6. So what happens is when your body decides to do work, and if it's in an immune cell, if that immune cell has, 1 omega-3 in it for every 40 omega-6s, that's going to skew your response to be inflammatory, reactive, painful, not mitigating inflammation. Exactly really what we see in our society right now. So this problem underpins many of our disease states that have to do with inflammation, oxidative stress, are kind of set up, let's say, by this omega-3 to omega-6 dysregulation that we have in our food supply right now. So you're being hornswoggled here. What do? You can, I think, safely assume that we all get plenty of omega-6 fats. So what we tell people to do is supplement with omega-3. The best source of natural omega-3 is seeds. And so hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds are really good. Chia seeds are almost the best. And so we encourage everyone just to take a tablespoon of chia seeds every day. Now, chia seeds are nice. They don't have much taste. They'll go in a smoothie. They'll go in a soup. They'll go in, if you're browning ground beef, just put a tablespoon in for each member of your family at the end of it. Now you made that beef into a vitamin. So they're easy to use and easy to work with. Hemp seeds are a little sweeter, so you have to be a little bit more careful with them. Flax seeds are also good. Walnuts are also a good source of omega-3. So what most of us need to do here right now is just supplement with omega-3, and that really helps things. If you have chat or a tool like that, just start talking to it about omega-3 and how important it is to basically supplement with omega-3 in any disease. If you have cancer, again, omega-3 is a great thing to take. If you have autism, omega-3 is a great thing to take. If you have any disease, omega-3 is a great thing to take. Why? Because of these higher principles that we're all dysregulated in omega-6 heavy anyway. So what's another way that we're being hornswoggled? What vitamins are really essential for you? What micronutrients, what metals do you have to have every day, all the time, or you'll be deficient? Yeah, you're likely like me. I mean, I didn't know any of this until I started studying it. So all of us need magnesium, zinc, and iodine every day. And we are all deficient in magnesium, zinc, and iodine unless you are taking a magnesium supplement, taking a zinc supplement, or eating, let's say, Celtic salt that has iodine in it, or taking some iodine supplement. There's a lot of bioavailability differences, let's say, between synthetic vitamins and natural sources of vitamins. And that's another thing that's happening right now is we have a lot of synthetics in our vitamin sources, and we don't absorb them the way that we do vitamins from natural food sources. And they kind of don't work the same, which is really interesting. Your body knows something made by God versus something made by man, I guess is the easiest way to say it, and always seems to prefer things made by God. The other thing that's happening right now in deficiencies is that glycophosphate is everywhere, right? So glycophosphate, which is Roundup, is in our food supply. and it's in and on a lot of our food. And this has a tendency to block additives, block mineral absorption. So you may be eating all the right minerals or taking a supplement, you might not be able to even absorb them due to glycophosphate. So anyway, that's a big problem, and we have to supplement into that. Again, we have to watch the glycophosphate, but it's pretty easy to fix. Any of these things are really easy to fix. It's just educating you and then giving you kind of the, whatever that thing is in a supplement or whatever. We put in our vitamin, our multivitamin in True Medics. So most vitamin companies are going to charge you, $20 for A, $20 for B, $20 for C, $20 for D, $20 for E, $20 for K, $20 for metals. And they may even charge you $20 for each metal: magnesium, copper, zinc, chromium. Iron, we don't do that. So we put everything in one multivitamin. So you have all your trace metals and metals and all your vitamins in one multivitamin. That's $40. So take our multivitamin. It's a good product, and you don't have to worry about this stuff if you're taking our multivitamin. Okay, so how else are we being hornswoggled? Well, the medical system is focused on symptoms, not root causes, right? And what would be a good example of this? There's so many, it's just hard to pick one. But let's just say generally, if you go into the medical system, they're going to ask you what's wrong with you. And so you're going to tell them, hey, whatever. They are going to equate that back to some test. So they're going to look at, could this be a liver thing, a kidney thing, a gut biome thing, a blood thing, we're not sure thing. Then we're going to, test you. We're going to test this person. And basically those tests will bring back results. And then there's just SOPs on what to do if XYZ is out of balance. So if XYZ is out of balance, I'm going to prescribe this guy ABC, or if PQR is out of balance, and I'm going to prescribe them MLN. So they just have SOPs on basically how to do this. Well, again, that's just managing dysfunction. That's not getting at the root core cause of anything. And if you really look at what the root cause and core of a lot of diseases is and are, it's pathogens, it's toxins, pathogens, and really microbiome imbalances. These are easy things to test for. We just don't test for them right now. So it's the medical system assumes that it's just you. I'm so sorry, you're flawed or broken. There's nothing we can do except you're going to have to take this medicine for the rest of your life. I mean, that's kind of how you're treated. Whereas, let's say our view of things would be God is a perfect engineer. God doesn't make mistakes. If there's something going on with you, there's likely a cause. And if we find that cause and kill that cause, you're going to get better. All those symptoms are going to go away. So the medical system is really focused on flaws and symptoms, and you're broken and you're weak and you're just going to fail and all that stuff. We're really focused on a godly system, a system that strives toward perfect, and that things can go wrong. But if we understand kind of what those are, those infections or dysregulations, there's always a way to right those. And there's always a way to right those in nature in a safe, easy, kind, kid-friendly, let's say, way. So that's what we concentrate on. All right. So what else? How else are you being hornswoggled? Well, a lot of information is being withheld from you, I would say. So it's not like people are out and out lying to you. It's not like they out and out lie to you about this stuff that we've just talked about. It's just like you're kind of herded in a direction. You're given information that supports the narrative, and that narrative is kind of a half or mistruth. It's not a full education on any of this stuff. The science behind all this stuff's been done for a long time. It's not like this is new science or, oh my gosh, we just realized we've been making a mistake in what we've been telling you. No, the science here has been well established. So really, who controls this narrative? Who's feeding this misinformation to you? Who's trying to control this narrative? Well, it's really big food and big pharma. And big food and big pharma, you can go back to World War II and a company called IG Farben. We're big food and big pharma. We're all together in one big conglomerate. And if you don't think those guys still don't talk at the highest levels, you're wrong. I mean, they certainly do, and they feed each other. Media. So if you're watching the nightly news, and you begin to watch the commercials. How many commercials are big food and big pharma? How many commercials on your national news broadcast are big food and big pharma? 75%, 80%. So who controls the media? Advertisers, right? And who are the main advertisers on mainstream media? Food and pharma, and big auto, let's say, but food and pharma, right? And then the other way that we're kind of, the narrative is controlled is with regulatory. So if you're a natural products and herbal company, you are so restricted. I'm so restricted on what I can say, what I can tell you about, how I can tell you that our products work. I have to, use code and structured, claims and all this kind of stuff to even be able to tell you, hey, our products work. That's crazy, isn't it? But again, it favors this system. It favors this mistruth, misdirection, hornswoggle system. So who built the USDA's food pyramid? Grain and dairy lobbies. Grain and dairy lobbies. So that wasn't built on science. That wasn't built on fact. That was built by the grain and dairy lobby. Who funds most of the nutrition studies? Big sugar, big processed food. Okay. So truthful people that are trying to tell you the truth, people trying to research the truth, are left unvoiced, unfunded, unbanked, no platform, no way to tell you what we know. This is all changing right now, but that's the way it has been. So sorry to tell you, that is the truth. So what does this result in? We have a sick and diseased population, don't we? I mean, my gosh, look at just the rate of obesity. Go back and look at an old film from 1900. Go back and look at an old beach scene, from 1900, 1910, 1920. How many obese people do you see? Take one picture of, go to the mall and take a picture, or even the beach, or even a pool and take a picture. It's insane, okay? It's insane, the level of obesity. And this is a controllable problem. It's controllable, though, through the narrative, and and you're being fed all the wrong information. You're being fed information to make you obese, to make you a type 2 diabetic, to make you have autoimmune diseases, to make you infertile, to make you anxious, to make you have cancer, to make you have neurodegenerative diseases. And all of these things are on the rise. If you look at statistics, every single one of the disease states that I just mentioned are going up. We are all chronically inflamed, we're overfed and undernourished, and our immune systems are all whacked out. And yet we're led to believe, oh, this is normal. This is just normal for you. Sorry, you're broken, you're going to fail. Here's your drugs, here's your steroids, here's your hormones. It's not normal. And this is not a godly system that we're in right now. It's a, horrible devil system, I would call it, but it's more of a man-driven system that's there to just take advantage of you, use you at every turn, suck money out of you for medicines that don't work, and tests that aren't going to tell you anything, and behaviors that just make you worse. So reclaiming our health requires a little bit of unlearning. It's going to require you to suspend your disbelief. It's going to require you to rethink a lot of the things that you just take for granted, a lot of the things that you just think that are truth just because you've been taught them all your life doesn't mean that they're truth. Now, the nice thing that's happening now is we all have a little buddy in our little AI tools. And so we can begin to rediscover truth. And sometimes those tools will lie to us. I mean, you've got to press them. You've got to, is are carbohydrates essential? It might come back and say carbohydrates are a good source of energy and carbohydrates are a good source of vitamins. Are they essential? No, they're not. So you may have to press it a little, is what I'm saying. But AI is a good way to discover the truth. So we all got to unlearn, right? We got to question the dietary dogma. Anybody who's telling me what to eat, I need to take that with a grain of salt. I need to do my own research. I need to really understand what they're trying to tell me, and is that fact or fiction? I need to look at what we used to do when we were healthy, right? Ancestral wisdom, so to speak. Everybody was deworming in the 1850s. Everybody was fasting at certain times. It used to be part of our national culture. We'd have a day of celebration and fasting as part of our national culture. I'm Chickasaw Indian. We used to eat one meal a day. That's perfect. That's exactly what we should be doing. Some days we wouldn't eat at all because it was a ritual day. That's exactly how we should be behaving. Okay, that's best for us metabolically. It's best for our health. It's best for us in 100,000 different ways. So again, we're going to have to begin to build a whole new set of data on the benefits of intermittent fasting, and on the benefits of different diets, and on the benefits of using natural, products as medicines versus drugs. And we're going to have to begin to reshape kind of a natural medicine system. If that's of interest to you, it's of interest to me. I think it's of interest to a lot of other people. And I think the current medical system has failed us. So we need to redesign and rethink the entire system. But that needs to start with natural medicine. That needs to start with, God's system that he built out here for us. We need to understand how to use that, learn from that, and then, potentially, I don't know if we can make it better or not. We probably can just by isolating things, but there's enough in that system to be able to fix anything that we've got going on with us right now. And the last thing that we need to do is really look at a word called terrain, right? So genetics are important, but they're only important in the context of terrain. So if your terrain is bad, genetics become more important. And how would our terrain become bad? Chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, eating the wrong things, eating too much will cause bad terrain. And in bad terrain, genetics become more important. So if you do have genetic issues, again, those are going to be way more impact you, let's say way more if you have poor terrain versus good terrain. If you have good terrain, and how would you develop good terrain? Really by understanding how to work your immune system, understanding how to not be infected, and building good tissue and good barrier systems. So that's good terrain. If you've got good terrain and something happens, again, you can work around your genetics. Any genetic flaw will have other pathways to work around, and that will work as long as your terrain is good. But if your terrain is bad, again, you're going to be way more probable that you will fail and be reliant on your genetics. And that's a little advanced for this, so sorry about that. I got a little advanced on Non-Medical Monday. We went down a science and physics rabbit hole that might have been too much for you, so I'm sorry if I glazed your eyes. But anyway, health is not complex. It is very logical. It is very easy to understand. It has just been made complex so I can sell you stuff. And we need to get rid of that thinking. We need to freely give information. We need to help people where they're at. And we need to tell people the truth. So hopefully you will find that here at Chip Talks Health, and here within True Medics and Neighborly Wellness, the structures that we have, we tell you the truth. Anyway, we'll see you guys back next Monday for another Non-Medical Minute. Have a good week.